a tutorial showing you my whole face just with the detail brush so that you can kind of see just how cool it works. Just go ahead and contour, because most of us contour, not everybody needs to color correct. So I'm going to show you why I love the detail brush for contouring. So basically up on your forehead, if you want to contour, all you're doing is adding some framework, you're adding a shadow. If you have a taller forehead or you don't wear bangs, it helps lower the eye so that you're focusing more on here. Why I love this end of the detail brush for contouring is that it's got this nice firm end to it. It's still very soft though, but you can tap straight in because the contour is always firmer than your cream highlight shades. Tap right in. And then when you come up here on your forehead, I like to do the same thing. I'm going to press or tap it, and it really helps get that contour right up on your skin. And it's going to also, by continuing to just tap and even doing a little bit of a flicking motion, you can blend it up into your hairline, and you can also flick and blend down so that you don't have that line of demarcation line where it's changing. So that, you know, because we don't want to have a line that shows or contour to where we don't have makeup or where we have our regular shade. So you can decide how far down you want to bring your contour, how far down of a shadow you need. You decide that. You know, I have a much taller one, so I can bring it down quite a bit, but you can decide how much. And you can also decide by layering this makeup and building it up, you can tap in, you know, if you want it to be darker even, you know, if you want more. And then I always like to flick, you know, just kind of tap over or flick that down. Okay, so that makes it really, really easy to apply the contour up on your forehead, especially if you feel like, you know, I'm applying it, but it just isn't showing, or I can't get it to blend as nicely. This brush helps quite a bit. So I want to also talk about how these brushes are made to work with the cream foundation. So watch. I don't know. I don't think I even got any makeup on me. So all that makeup that I just tapped on this brush pretty much came off the brush onto my skin. And that's the point of using the right brushes. And you can just keep going with the same brush and you don't have to clean it off. So let's keep going with this brush. Okay, so you can use this end here. Hi, Misty. Hi, Beverly. To contour. I've shown that a couple times, but let me just show you 2 different ways you can contour with this brush your cheeks. You can do it on an angle here to where you're just kind of tapping it under, but you can also use this end to contour your cheekbones. And a lot of times, some of us need to do that, especially if we have melasma or sunspots or sun damage right in this area. It's nice to kind of have a smaller brush. So I'm going to show you this time how to use this end of the detail brush to apply contour underneath your cheekbones. So I'm going to take the brush again and I'm going to just tap, kind of pouncing into it, getting some color on there. I'm going to remember that we kind of start at the angle here from the top of our ear. So that angle underneath our cheekbone, and try to stop on the outside of our eye. So this is kind of our placement here, is this right here to about here. Okay, so kind of right in here, and then you're up underneath your cheekbone. So if you have any sun damage or anything like that right in this area where you're trying to place your contour, here's a couple tips, is to use a smaller brush and just skip that part where it is. So for me, it's kind of right there towards the end, but I can just not place any contour right on top of that. So my cheekbones are pretty much right here. I'm pressing it up underneath. Then you can take this end of the brush and it's going to give you a little bit of a nice blending. And I can kind of blend it up. So yeah, now it looks like I kind of have contour and then a big, huge kind of like the country of Africa on the side of my cheek here, or continent, not country. But anyway, what we're going to do is just stop there, and then I'm going to use my other highlights, my color corrector, and my main shades to deal with what's underneath here. But at least I didn't go right through it. So this is kind of a nice way. This is the detail brush, and that's what we're working with today. And I'm going to tap in again and pull my hair out of the way. And just kind of lightly, kind of flicking, pressing. Now over here I don't have a large spot so I can bring it down towards underneath my eye. I don't really have to skip a point. But then I can just take the brush and lightly start to flick and feather to blend and soften that shadow. That's really all we're doing, is adding an artificial shadow, adding a little bit of structure to our face and bringing out our bone structure, and that's it. So that's really subtle. And this color here that I use for my contour, this is called Astoria. So it's one of the darker, cooler, ashy tones. And, you know, even online, it looks really, really dark, but you can see once you put it on and how you put it on, you know, you can build it up as dark as you want. Again, going up here, we can build more if you want more of a contour, but you can also go much lighter by tapping it in and just doing a small amount and blending it, okay? All right, so let's do underneath our jawline. I love to use this side of the brush. I'll do two different sides. So again, going right back in, tapping it right in, and then starting underneath your ear and underneath your jaw. And why we're doing that is we wanna define or add a shadow. Get under here so you can see. Pull it down and back so that we're just trying to define or differentiate between our jawline and our whole chin and jowls and all that fun stuff in our neck. So bless you if you don't have any of that going on. I'm also going to use this side to show you that you can also use this side of the brush. Again, just kind of tap in and just draw it underneath here. With this one, you're going to get a lot less because it's a smaller brush. So if you need to, you might need to go over a couple times. But I just love this side of the brush for doing this. It's fast. It gets the right amount on. And there you go. Okay, so easy, easy, easy way to do contour with the detail brush. We're going to go ahead and we're going to address anything that we might need extra color correcting or a little extra coverage, or I like to call it camouflage. Where do I need to add a little extra camouflaging? So a lot of us have melasma, pooling around our eyes, obviously the sunspots, the age spots, but also, you know, discoloration or excess color can show up as redness or purpley red, broken capillaries, that purple broken veins, you know, that just show up and tend to sometimes bleed through our main highlight or foundation shade. And then of course, there's the whole under eye discoloration. So what we want to do is just, everybody needs to look at their face and just, where do I need to have a little extra color correcting or camouflaging? If you only have discoloration underneath your eye, that's kind of more towards the outside and the inner side, but there's really not a lot underneath here, then don't put a color corrector there. We can just kind of flick it in. So let me do that. So I'm going to take this end of the detail brush and I'm going to tap into the shade called Mango. Just pick up a little bit. And I'm going to tap on the inside of my eye where I have that discoloration, and I have it out here. So let me just tap in just a little bit. Okay, so once you get that where you want that, then just take this brush again and just lightly kind of feather it in and down towards the center, but we're not necessarily needing to layer a ton of this underneath the eye. If you have a distinct pooling of discoloration underneath your whole eye, then you can take your color corrector and experiment with going completely underneath. But if you just have it mostly on the outside and the inside, then place the color there and then kind of feather that color in from each side. This will be a great one to show here on the chin because you can see how red and purpley this is with a lot of broken capillaries and just a lot of redness, you know, that happens. So I'm going to take again and tap in and then come down here. And again, just where the color is the darkest. There we go. Look at how that neutralized that. It's a very small amount. And I'm using it, think of it like a filter. I only want to put it on the areas where I need a little extra film of filter, right? I don't need to layer it on. I don't need to apply it like a liquid foundation. I'm just going to look at the face and decide where do I need it. Let me show you the sunspot. Let me tap in again with the small end of the detail brush. Happy New Year. We're doing and using just the detail brush to do a whole face of makeup, which is this brush here, one of my favorites. This is a brush that everybody needs, but I'm gonna show you how you can use it for your full face. All right, so I just kind of tapped on some of the mango over that sunspot there. That just helped just a little bit. Let's see. Oh, redness around the nose. Some reason I've been getting a lot of that. And again, can you see how small of an amount? And I only want to place it just tapping lightly where the discoloration is that I need to just give a little extra filtering to. I don't need to layer a huge amount of this on. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and tap in to our main shade. And we're just going to kind of bridge together. So we've got contour, right? Color correcting or camouflaging here and here. Now we're just going to fill in with a color that's what I like to call your main shade. And it's this one here that I use. If you want to know my colors, I think it helps, I think, for you to see my skin tone, because I may look a lot like you. And the colors I use, this is called Sandy. And sometimes when you see these colors on the website, or if you ever get color matched, you know, two of them, you may be like, wow, those look really dark. But then once you see them applied to a real face, you see that they're really not, and they blend out so great. So I'm going to use this side of the brush, and I'm going to tap in. Say I didn't clean it. Tap into my main shade, Sandy. And now I'm going to do what it's going to be almost kind of like a little bit of a flicking motion. And you can also pounce. So if you have a lot of dry skin or a lot of texture, do more pouncing in the areas that you have that. Usually underneath our eyes, we don't really want to be doing swiping, so I'm going to tap in. And then when I come to this whole area here, I'm going to do a little bit more of a stippling. And I'm going to go over and stipple over even where I had a little bit of that color corrector, just to kind of blend things together, marry the colors together. Kind of right in here, and then go up under. And this brush is firm, but it's not hard on the face. It's soft. You can just stipple gently to blend. So tap, tap. Let's do the nose. Up here on my number 11s. So this is where you're just going to look at your face and decide where do you need a little bit of your main shade. Now, if you don't have a lot of texture, you can do a little bit of this kind of swiping, usually the top of our nose. But again, if you do have a lot of texture, dry skin, try to avoid that and do a little bit more of a pouncing. Okay, so along here. And I don't have to put it over the contour. I'm just going around that area. Tap, tap. And I already had a lot of color here on my chin because my whole chin was pretty much that purple discoloration, but I can just kind of work around it and then not reload the brush, but just keep pouncing. And what it does is it's going to keep moving the two shades together. And that's how you get that seamless blend. And that's really what I'm doing right now. Is just, I kind of get a little carried away with the blending part, but that really makes a big difference. So tap, tap. I think I skipped the side of my very textured right in here. A lot of sun damage and very textured, so I'm going to do more of the pouncing. And then right along here. I don't want to swipe because I have that color corrector shade right there, but I can pounce. Let's talk really quick about adding the brightener or a pop shade. And not everybody even needs to use this, but it's kind of fun to highlight that part of our face, the center of our face. So this is great because again, we have the smaller end of this brush and we can tap in. This color here is called Sunlit. It's very yellow, but I think it's a lot of fun to add. This is where I want to add brightener. Okay, so right here, kind of down the side of my nose, inner part of that little hollow of your eye socket and your nose where it gets a shadow. Just brighten a bit. Oops. Let me even it out. And then just take that brush again and just keep tapping and lightly flicking. And then what you can do is while it's on and you're tapping, just move that brush in and it'll kind of migrate that color underneath here and just give that little bit of light right in that area right there. Okay. Another great place you can do that is right here. I like to do it up above my contour, kind of the side of my face. A lot of gals like to put it right here. Just be careful if you have really deep, what are those called? Smile lines, laugh lines, crow's feet. Just be careful that you press that in really well, or you blend that in, or just don't go with too light of a shade. If you're going to do that in this area, you can. You just want to be careful that you really press that in. You can use your finger too. You can also bring a little bit of light down the center of your nose and up here in this area. I have a lot of texture right here, so I usually avoid that, but I like to sometimes just put a little, I don't like to contour my nose, so instead of contouring, I'll kind of do a reverse contour. Put some color up here though and pull it in. Sorry, got distracted. By just putting a light highlight shade right down your nose. And again, remember your highlights are just your foundation shades. So that just kind of does a reverse contour, meaning this made this lighter or thinner because it's darker already naturally on the side of my nose. It is add some color. Wanted to show you again how deceiving the colors are on the website. This is Royal, and on the website and even here in the tin, it looks really dark, right? But it's a glossy, always more sheer. So look at that. I mean, it's on my lips, but again, it doesn't look like this. It's not like really, really dark. Same thing on your cheeks. See, that doesn't look that dark, right? So I'm just putting it on with my finger right above my contour, kind of towards my temple. I'm just gonna take this side of the brush again and just very lightly stipple over and then merge, kind of just take that brush up towards the temple. This is Seint 3D makeup. This is my full-time gig now. I've been doing this for 3.5 years and I really love it. You can always message me privately or even comment below that you're interested. I can chat with you about how to get a free color match.